So far, we have discussed how to use dictionaries using Python, how to access them, how to add data to them, and how we can use a while loop so that our program can keep running. So, does any one of you still have any questions regarding this? Guys, actually, we mostly covered most of the basics for the Python. So for now, we are going to go a bit deeper in using these, mm, or in using the knowledge we have learned so far. So if you are still facing a problem regarding one of the basics or the basic knowledge, just ask. So I will explain again. Okay, because I think it would be useless to go deeper, and there are some who are still facing problems regarding the basics. So if you have any questions, just ask. Otherwise, I'll just continue. Okay then. Now I will. Okay, someone is asking how to save. Save what? Actually, you mean save the file or save the data or what? Okay, this one will discuss after this. Yeah, we will be discussing this in this session. How we can get the data from an external file or save the data to an external file. This one will be discussed in this session. So for this session, I think we will be discussing how to save data into a TXT file, and how to get the data from a text file, and also we'll be discussing how to save a dictionary into an Excel file, and how to get the data from an Excel file. So for this session and the coming session, there won't be slides. So we'll be more working on coding, because mostly it will be I will be teaching you how to write a code, and how to use Google to search for the information that you need. So there is no slides for these two. So let's start. Okay. For now, we still have we are after we wrote our code and so on. We are still facing a problem, is that the data we are storing here is just a static data. So if we store any other new data, it will not be saved after we close the program. So this is a problem. So we have to find a solution for it. So one of the solutions is that to save the data into a text file, yes, or an Excel file. So let's discuss this later. Now, for now, we'll be discussing the last point in our slides here, which is uh, the loop, iterations. After we discuss the loop, we'll be discussing iterations. What do we mean by iterations? Okay, so if you have a list of numbers or names, and you want to access them, or you want to check how much, how many, or whatever, or you want to check the data inside, or you want to loop through them. So in Python, you can do this using a for loop. So what you can say in C++, for example, or in C++, in C, and so on, we have for loop, but in a different way. So for loop in C++, you are using to use sorry, you are going to use a variable that is going to be incremental, and you will loop through the for loop you are creating. However, in Python, You can also do it, so you can also loop inside a while what you sorry you can loop inside a list, okay, or a tuple or so on according to the data inside. So for example, this is our for loop here. So this as you can read the code, so we are saying for I in this list. So what does this mean? What does this code mean? And we are saying print I. So this is a simple code. I just divided the code into many parts so it would be easier to understand. So if we want to write a for loop like this, when we start the code, what's going to happen? The moment we start the for loop, it will go to the first item here. It will take it and assign it to I. So now I is equals to 1. Okay. Then I will be printed 1. This is the output. And so on. So 2 also will go to 2. This is the output. And so on. 4 and 4 and so until we reach the final item inside our list. This is the what we call a for loop. Okay. So now let's try and use this for loop here. So let's create another file here and call it for exercise by. Okay. Okay. Now let's start. Let's create a list for let's say friends. Okay. And let's call this friends, for example, Alex. And let's say Sam. And let's say Ali. Say uh, what exercises I think is enough. Let's have 3 for now. So we say for I, this is a for loop. So for I and what? And friends. Okay. This way, if we try to print I, so what's going to happen? So now this I will get the values from the friends and it will print them. So let's try and run our code here. So we can go here, run Python file in terminal, and we can see the output here. Alex, Sam, and Ali. Yeah. So this is how we can, loop inside a list using a for loop. Okay. So we can also do this. Let's create, for example, a function first. Let's say def greeting. Okay. And say name. And let's define a message. Let's say message says hello. Okay. And plus name. And we are going to return this message. Okay, let's add so hello. I think this is okay now. We can use this function if we put it here. So we can use this function like this. So we can say greeting. We can say print. Okay, greeting, and we pass I, which is the names in our friend. So this can be I. We can say friend. So it's for friend in friend. So give me one friend of the friends there. Okay, so friend, and let's run the code again. So you can loop and say hello Alex, hello Sam, and so on. This is one of the ways we can loop inside a list. Okay, so the list can also has numbers. If we can have numbers and so on. You already know that, I think. Also another way to use a for loop, in C++, we can have a for loop that use numbers, or use what we can say a range. So we have a range of numbers we loop through. So we can say we can loop, create a for loop to loop 10 times and so on. How can we do this in Python? Okay, to do this in Python, we can do the following. So this one no need for now. Let's comment this one. So we can say for, let's say I in Python. Let's go for example for C++, for the people who know C++ or C. In C++, you have to do it this way. So you can say for int I equals 0 and I bigger than so on and so on. Okay, I plus plus, and then you create your own. This is the way you do it in Python or in JavaScript and so on. However, in JavaScript, in C++ or JavaScript. However, in Python, you can do it this way. So you can say for I in Then we want a range. So there is a function in Python that give us a range, this one. Okay. So you can see if your IDE has already the extension for Python, you can see it shows us range. It accepts an integer. So you give it an integer. There are many ways to use it. So you just can just give one integer. So it will stop after you reach this one. So if we can give it, for example, 10. Okay. And let's print I and try run our code. So you can notice that it will go from 0 till it reaches 9. Okay, before the 10. So this one is in a range from 0 to 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 7, 8, 9. Okay, this is a way to use a range. This is we can also create a step. So we can have like this. For you can say let's start from 1, okay, and the end will be 100, and the step, for example, will be by 5. Okay, this is a way also to create. So it will start by, where is it? Yes, here, 1, 6. So it will keep adding 5. This is the steps, or the step of increase. Okay, this is one of the ways to use a for loop. Okay, and there are many ways to have for loop. For example, imagine that I have let's say I have to I think a list. Let's have a list here. Let's say, yeah, let's go back to our list here, which has friends. So we have here we have a friends and so on. Let's say that we have a list and a table inside it, and the table will have a name and will have a number. For example, let's say, okay, let's say instead of a number, let's say the gender. So we can say like this. Okay. Now we have a list and a table. So if we try and run this code, for example, for now, we'll have a problem because we cannot concatenate a table. So let's ignore this for now. Let's imagine that you don't have this one, just print friend. Let's this. So if we try to print this one, okay, this is a way, but it doesn't look nice. How can we use it correctly? Okay, there is a way to do it in Python. So if we have a list and we have a table, we can do it this way. So I can make Python give me the two values, and okay, I think gender is correct. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's try and print now the friend here. Let's say friend, and we say gender, and let's try. Okay, so you can say that we can get the values here and here. We can divide them and send them to this. So the first one will go here, and the second one will go here. So we can use it like this. So we can say greeting friend, and we can also print gender, and sorry, what happened? Okay, and I would say gender here. So it will be like this. Also, and there are many ways to do it. So this is one of the ways to use a for loop inside Python. Okay, this is it, I think, for the for loop. Do you have any question? Okay. If you don't have any questions, let's proceed with dealing with files. Okay. Let's give this. Let's okay. So we'll create a new file. Let's call it file exercise. File. Okay. So for now, we'll start you know dealing with files in Python. Okay. So let's try and get a file ready, and I want you to download this file, and you can try it later. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I think it's supposed to be here. Uh, okay, I think I need to download it here. So you can go to this link. I think you can see the link. Let's make it. So let's say uh, Notepad. So this is the link. I think you can see the link. Yeah. So this is the link. Can you go to this link and download this file? So I'll copy the link to the chat. Okay. So the link is already in the chat. So just go and try to get this file. Okay. So we will be dealing with this file using Python. I think this one is a bit long. Oh, okay, we'll be dealing with this file using Python. So let's just click save as. Okay. After you find the file, you open the file. You are here. Just click save as and save it in your folder. Let's say here. So yeah, save it as a txt file. Okay. After you save the file, we'll start. So can you guys save the file for? Do you have any problem? So guys, go and save the file, please. Save it as a txt file. Yeah. So when you click here, just to click save. It will directly save it as a txt file. Okay, that's all. This is actually a file I think from a Coursera course in Python. So you can use it to learn how to deal with files using Python and so on. So I hope everyone download this file so we can be on the same page. Okay. If you already download the file, so we can continue. Okay, so let's close this for now. Let's start. Okay, now after you download the file, I want you to make sure it's in the folder that next to your Python file. So you can see, for example, this is my Python file I'm going to deal with. This is the file, and this is the file I'm using. Okay, so make sure it's the same in the same place. So for now, in Python, if you want to open a file, there is a function called file handler, which is called open. Okay, so the open function will help us to open a file and read it in Python. So let's say create first a variable to save our file. Let's call it uh, text. Let's say text file, okay, or whatever. Then we can use the open function. Okay, the open function needs two arguments. The first argument is the file name with the extension is necessary. So the extension is .txt, okay, .txt, and then the other argument is what we call is the reading mode. So do you want to read, or do you want to write, or do you want to append? So for now, we'll just use the read mode. Okay, there are many modes. For now, we'll be using the read mode. So we'll be able to read the file, but we cannot do anything with it. Okay, so let's try, and after we get the file, let's try print the file. Why don't we just print the file? Yeah, and try. Let's see what we. Sorry, this is the old file. So run file. Okay. If we try to print this file, it will tell us, okay, this is a txtio wrapper name, blah, 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 mode is reading, and the encoding CB, and so on. Okay. But we don't read the file this way. So after you create, after you make sure the file is there. So if by the way, if the file is not there, it will show you this message error. So it will show you file not found error. Okay, so make sure you write the correct name. Now let's try and access the file. After you create the file, you can see all the functions you can use to deal with the file. So for now, we'll be using what we call read. Okay, so this will help us to read the file. So we can store the data that we read here. So let's call it text. Okay. Now, if we try to print text, okay, this is all the data inside the file. By the way, it will take a very long time to show all the data because the file is very big. So let's quit this one. Okay. Now, we already know how to read the file, but what can we do? This one, just if we try, let's say print type, sorry, type and text. Delete this one. Let's check what kind of file do we have here. Okay, it says a string, so all of it is a string. But can we handle such a string if we read the whole file, at once? I think if you try, can you try first read the file and make sure you get the same results here, so you can see the file. If you have any problem, just inform me. Okay, I'll give you 3 minutes. Okay, the R here, as I mentioned before, is the mode of reading. So is it reading or writing? So R means reading, W means writing. Okay, and we have other modes. So you can search on Google what kind of modes do we have for in Python. Yeah, R means readable, so you can so it allows you to read the file. Okay, so if you, for example, if you want to make sure that the file cannot be edited during the the process of analysis in Python, you can just state R. Okay, so let's try and see, run the code without the mode. So it will read. However, you're not sure is it going to read or write on the file. So you want to make sure it just read the file, doesn't change anything. Yeah, and this inbox dot is the file name. So if we go here, you can see the file name here. It's inbox, and it's a text file. So we are using txt. Okay, that's the extension here. Someone is it says I ran the code, but it cannot read. What does it show? What's the message that it tells you? Does it show anything? Ah, yeah, okay. So this is not this is correct. If it shows you like string, yeah, because we are telling Python to print the type. You can notice this. So it's correct. If you want to print the file, just delete the type thing. So it will. So the type function here tells us the type of the file we are dealing with. Okay, you can see that type object, the object type, blah blah blah. It tells us what type of data we are dealing with. That's all. So if you want to show the data, you can just delete the type. Okay, so let's continue. Now we already know how to read the whole file. So this one will help us to read the whole file. Okay, sir, I tried, but it says not found. Okay, if it says not found, make sure that the file is in the same directory as the the Python file. Is your file is the same directory as the Python file? And are you sure of the extension? It has to be the same name, the same extension, the same character, capitalization state. So it's supposed to be, if it's capital, capital, if it's small, small, and so on. And suppose there is supposed to be any space. So you should make sure all of these are there. Okay. Can you send a screenshot of your code? Send it to the chat here so I can check. Okay. Can you please send a screenshot if you are facing a problem? Send a screenshot of your code. Okay. Now let's continue. Now imagine that we want to read the file as line by line. Okay. So now this one will allow us to read the whole file, but we don't want to read the whole file. We want to read the file line by line. So this is a way. So let's say for this we will be using the for loop. Okay. So we'll be using for, and this, let's call this line or whatever. So let's call for line n. Okay, so we are using a for loop to get each line from this file from our text file, and let's try print, sorry. So we are going to print each line. Okay, let's run the code. Okay, so now it's printing each line alone. Okay, okay. Can you please, uh, what can I say? Okay, 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 okay. Sorry. I think some of you will be facing this problem. As I told you before, try to open the text editor inside your folder. Okay, you can see this. The directory here shows that your text editor is not in the same folder. Okay, so sometimes you will be facing a problem. So to make sure it's in the same folder, either you use change directory. So let's say I'm not in the same folder like this. Okay, so now this is what's happening for you. You are in this, so you are in C users user, okay, and also in MC users Hatem. Okay, my username is Hatem. So I want to go to my file. For example, yours is in the desktop Python. So I want to go to this one. So you can just write cd, which is change directory, and desktop. Okay, and after desktop you write the folder name. So for me GYSO course, like this, and click enter. Now I'm inside the directory the file my file is in. Okay, so for you, you should write cd desktop Python file, the one who is facing this problem. Or the other option is that you go here, open folder, and you open the folder of your file like this. Select folder and open the folder. Okay, this is a way to solve it. Okay, let's continue. Now we can see that we can print the file line by line. Okay, so this is one line, two, and so on. Uh, and now let's continue. If imagine that we want to count how many lines we have inside our file. To do this, we can just create a variable. Let's call it count. Zero, and this one we need. So count plus one. Okay, and after we finish, we print the count. So we can print, let's say, line count, and show how many lines do we have here. So count. Oh shit. Okay, let's try run our code. So we have 1,000 1,000 something line, 100,000 something line. Okay. Okay, now we are able to read how many lines we have in a Python file. Okay, let's see what kind of operations we can do. For example, let's say okay. Now let's do some operations with this file. For example, we want to get what we call, we want to get the lines that starts with what is our file. Let's go to our file, check what do we have in our file, and try to understand it. So this is our file. Now this is this big file. As you can see, we want to get only the lines that has the from, start with the from. So from this one, I want to get this the beginning of each the line that starts with the from. Okay, how can we do this in Python? In Python we can do this like this. So we have a function called start with. So the function start with in Python, it's one of the functions in for built-in functions for strings that helps us to make sure if our line starts with or our character starts with something or not. Okay, our string, sorry. So because now we are dealing with a big file, and each line will be one string. Okay, so each line will be a big string. So we want to make sure if the line is starts with something. So let's say we'll use start with, and we want to get the ones that start with from, for example. So let's say, well, we are saying if line dot start with, okay, and print that line. So this will help us to print only the lines that start with the from. Let's run our code. Okay, you can see we get all the lines that has the from in it. Okay, from. Okay, this is one of the operations that we can use to handle handle files in Python. Okay, so let's continue. We have a small problem here, as you can see, is that we have an extra space here or extra line, and this one is caused because the way Python reads the lines is that it will read the line and it will create assume that the line ends with a new line character, which is the slash in this one. Okay, how to get rid of this? To get rid of this in Python, we have what we call a strip function. So the strip function helps us to get rid of the space inside our text or string. So let's try this. So let's have this string, for example, x equals to blah, okay, and space and frame. Okay, so I want to get off this space. I want to get rid of this space. Okay, this is the string. I want to get rid of the left, or sorry, to the space to the right. Okay, so I can use this one. So I can say x dot r strip. So means right strip and enter. You can see that I don't have the space anymore. And if imagine that the space is not in the right, but in the left, on the left, sorry. So this one. So and instead of the right strip, I can just do left strip. Okay. So now I don't have the strip here. Imagine that I have a space in both sides like this. So I can use strip. It will get rid of the space in both sides. So this is one of the built-in functions to get rid of the white space in Python. And a new line, a new line is a white space after all. So how to get rid of it? We can say line equals. So we'll modify the line. Sorry, let's modify the line before. So line equals line dot strip. Okay, so now because the white space is after the line, we get this. We will use right strip. Okay, we'll change to the left and try run our code. Okay, we don't have this, the space anymore. So this is how we can handle a Python file, a file in Python. Okay. I hope everything is clear. Do you have any problem so far? Hello guys, do you have any problem? Were you able to run the code and get the lines that has started it from? Okay, I think we can continue. Okay, now imagine in this big file, I want to check if a specific name is there or a specific line or whatever. So let's go look for murder. murder here. Okay. By the way, murder here is for Windows service. Don't worry. So if I want to make sure if this word exists or is in my line, I can do this. So I'm asking, I can ask Python if murder in line, print the line. Okay, that's all. So I'm asking if this word is in the line, print the line. So let's try. See, it will print all the lines that has this word. Okay, so you can pick any file you have. Okay, and search inside it. For now, we'll be dealing with TXT files. Later, we'll discuss how to deal with Excel files. Okay. Now, I think we are okay for now. Okay. Now, this is all for reading a file. Do you have any problems so far? Okay. One important note is that when you read the file in Python, especially in a very big, code, after you open the file, you have to close it. So we have to do this after we finish with the file. We have to do this: open text file dot close. Okay, this is very important because if you didn't close it, you will not be able to use it in the rest of your code. So you have to close it. Okay, but to get rid of this, the whole thing, open and close stuff, there is a way to do it. So in Python, instead of opening the file and going there and close it, you can, instead of doing this, you can just go to here, and let's keep this for now. This is a way to do it. The other way to do it is to use with. Okay, this in Python, this is other way to open a file, deal with it, and Python will close it by itself. Okay, I know text file is a variable name. You can write anything. You can write X. You can write any stuff. So it's the file a variable name. You can name it anything you want. The file name is here. Okay. Let's have with and with open. Okay. Now my file name box.txt. We specify the mode, for example, read for now as, and I say let's call it text file as again. So now I can do any operation inside this box. So I can just copy this one and put it here. Okay. So this way, after the Python file finishes with this one, it will close it directly. Okay, so it's this way, the Python file will run. After it finish, it will close directly. So, and I think this is the recommended way to do it. So I personally, I recommend this way, and many Python programmers recommend this way, or in Python community recommend this way to deal with the files. Okay, so you open the file, deal with it, and Python will close directly. This is one of the ways to open and close the file using Python. Python with method. Okay, or technique. Someone is asking what's R. Uh, as I already explained, R is the mood. Okay, so when we open the file, we have to specify what mood do you want to read the file in. You can just delete the R, but it's better to specify the mode. Is it read or write? So you make sure that if you just want to read without modifying the file, you can just open it as a read. If you want to write, you can just open it as write. Okay, that's all. That's the meaning of R here. Okay. Now we have finished dealing with the files in Python. Now let's try and use this way. Okay, the way that we used here to save our data in our previous file here. Okay, so in this file, we keep the data, but the data we keep is not saved. Okay, Someone is asking me to repeat the first method to close the file. So the first method, this is the second method here. So let's say recommend that the first method is this. So after you finish, you just get the file name here, dot close. After you finish all the process that you want to do with the file, just close it. Okay. Okay, now let's go back here. So as I told you before, now we have been, we have been dealing with the files here and data and so on. We have been keeping all the data here in as a static data, and we cannot, save data or retrieve it. So now let's try find a way. Can we save our, data here in a text file? So let's go to Google and ask it. So let's say save a dictionary Python to a text file Python. Okay, so let's say writing a dictionary to a text file. Let's see what do we have here. Okay, so someone is suggesting that first of all you are opening in the read mode and trying to write into it. Okay, secondly you can only write string to a file. If you want to write a dictionary object, you either need to convert it to a into a string and serialize it. Okay, so we have this, then you serialize it. What do you by serializing is that because we have a dictionary, it's not a string, so you have to convert it using the JSON library here and to a string and save it. Okay, so this is a way. Let's find other way so we can print. So can we use it this way? Let's try. So you can come here now. Let's, as I told you before, start with a small thing. So we don't go with our project directly. Let's go here and create another file. Let's call it file slash object, for example, file. Now, so let's create a dictionary. Let's get, for example, this dictionary, okay? Or let's create a dictionary. So simple dict here, and let's have, for example, a hello. We have the I or whatever. Okay. Now let's say with open and the name of the file that we want to save. For example, now let's call it new.txt. Okay. Since we are writing to a file, so we are going to use the write function here as, and let's call it file. Okay. So file dot write, and if we try to write directly simple dot text here, and let's try and run our code. It says that write argument must be a string, not dictionary. Yeah, because this one is a dictionary, so you have to convert it to a string. So let's try the string method and convert it to a string here. Try, is it going to work? Yeah. Now let's go and look for our file. After it, if it shows no error, means it's already saved. But let's see. So we already have the file here, and if we check, yeah, We have our dictionary here. Okay. Now we can save the dictionary as this. However, can we read a dictionary from a file? So we can, store the data and get it again and so on. So let's see. So Python read text file into a dictionary. Okay. So let's see how to convert a file into a dictionary. So someone is doing it like this. Someone is doing it like this. So let's try some, because now because we have, we can notice that we have it as a dictionary here. Let's try, be smart with it and do this. Okay. Now we have the file here. Okay, and let's add more to it. So let's have okay, let's have more data to it. Okay, I think this is no, this is okay. So after we created in a file, let's try and read it. So imagine that we don't have this one anymore, and we want to read the file. So let's let's create an empty dictionary for now. And how to read the file is the same with open, and we copy this one. However, instead of right here will be read, and after we read the file, let's try, is it working fine? So read file and try print. So now we have to read it. So because it's line by line, so let's read it using for line in file. Okay, print. So let's print the line that we are dealing with here. Where did it go? Ah, oh, what happened? Oh, oh, oh. Yeah. Huh? No, I think I closed the file by mistake. So uh, okay. Now let's try and run the file. Okay, so we can get it. So can we just do this? For example, or can we say symbol dict equals line, for example, and try print symbol dict. Okay, okay, it's print, but is it a dictionary? Let's say, let's check this one. So type. So no, it's not a dictionary. It's a string. Yeah. So we were able to save the data and read it, but however, it's not a dictionary. So to change it to a dictionary, because we are sure it's a dictionary, we can just do this dict and try now. Let's try our code. Okay. Dictionary update sequence element has length is required. One, two is required. Okay. So let's try the other way around. So let's say symbol dict here equals x symbol dict and try. Okay. So this is not the correct way to do it. So let's look for a solution in Google. So Python convert string to dictionary. convert string to dictionary. So let's say, let's look for a way. So we have this as string, print, okay, JSON that loads, print results, okay, string. We can JSON that load. So test interval, okay. So as you can see, there is two ways to convert it. I can perform using the inbuilt function flows JSON of library, which converts the string of valid dictionary to a JSON for dictionary. Okay, so to do it, there is a dictionary, an external library that we need. So this library is called JSON. So let's call this library here. So this is, by the way, notice this, if you want to import a library, Python is using import and the name of the library. Okay, so for now, our library is called JSON. And the way to do, to import, change that string to a dictionary is JSON loads, and we pass the string. So to change this one, we can just say uh, symbol dict equals JSON dot load, and the string is here symbol dict. Okay, so is this one a correct way? Let's try. Okay, has no attribute read. Oh, okay. So instead of doing it here, so let's do it here because it's a string. So let's do it this way, and print type. Okay, you still have a problem. String object has no attribute read. So we still have a problem here. String object has no attribute read. I think we still have a problem here. So let's create another variable. So let's go ahead take, okay, let's make it just a string, and this one will be line. So then symbol dict equals to load, so JSON dot load. Okay, and we pass our string here, which is line dict, and try again. Okay, we still have the problem here. So it says that string object has no attribute read. Let's convert this to a string and try again. So it doesn't work the way we want it. So let's try with their example for now. It's supposed to work. So let's say this, and let's say, let's import JSON. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, now let's try type as, so it's a dictionary. So it's, okay, it's a dictionary. So I think we are having a problem here, but we didn't know what is it. Okay, it's a dictionary. Oh, I see. Okay. Looking for the name enclosed in double quotes. And okay. So I think this one is supposed to be double quotes. So we have to make sure everything is according to the documentation, because I didn't read the documentation, so I'm facing a problem. Now let's try this one. String object has not a view read. Someone is saying the load. Oh, okay. I'm forgetting an S. This is a bigger. Okay. Now I think everything is working nice. So if we try to print our dictionary here, so print symbol dict. Okay. Okay. So now we were able to save file to a dictionary, save to a file and get our file. Okay. So how can we add these two codes, combine it to our old file? Let's just try. So this one will open a new file and save the data to it. So let's go here and add. Let's add another one. For example, here as an admin, you are supposed to save the data, or we just save the data directly. So we can say def, okay, save data. Okay. So to save the data, we just need one thing, which is the user data here, the dictionary. So let's call it data for now. Okay. And this one used to save the data. Okay. So this way, we can save the data. Okay. Now we have a library that helps us save the data into a text file. So this one will, instead of the data, so it will get this one and save it. So this is the save data. So the other one is going to be load data, so we can get the data. Okay, so we don't have any argument for now for loading the data. To load the data, we'll use this one. Okay, so after we run the and load the data, we have to save the data somewhere to up, so we can do this. So instead, we can just, I think, do this one. Okay, then we are going to, we can say return. We are going to return the dictionary here. Okay, so now we have the two functions. Okay, because we are using the library JSON, so we have to import the library JSON at the top of our file here. Import JSON. Okay, now let's say add the function first. So when are we going to save the data? Each time we add or delete, so we have to save the data. Okay, so you can see after we add users, we can here, so the data user data. Okay, after we add or after we delete, so save data. Okay, now when we start the program, we start with the login, but however, before the login, we have to start by loading the data. So load data, we'll call that load data. So first we can user data equals to load data. Okay, this will get the data and save it into our file. Now let's try. Sorry, run this code, Python, and Python. So let's try now. Let's say admin. Okay, admin. Okay, we have a problem here. It says that key, enter your password. User is not registered. Admin, enter your name. Is not registered. Why? We have the user admin here. While true, user login, user data. If user, okay, that's what happens because we loaded the data, but the data, the new data we loaded doesn't have this data. So let's copy this data and put it to our file here. So, so try again. Huh? Expecting property name enclosed in double quotes. Okay. We are facing the same problem here. So because we are using this library, make sure just to put all the properties in double quotes. Okay. Now let's try run the code again. So let's say admin. Okay. So let's say add user. So let's say the new user. Let's say the new user. Uh, let's call it new user for example, and the password 123, and the phone number blah blah blah, and save. Okay. We're still facing expecting property name enclosed in double quotes. Okay. This one is still a problem here. So let's, because our library that we are using, it says that we should save the file in double quotes. So we should follow this. So we just change this one to double quotes. So in the library, you can change all of them to double quotes. Okay, I think that this is fine. So let's say, uh, so let's say admin add, and after we add, let's say new user 123 number whatever. Okay, extremely to be enclosed in double quotes. We start facing another problem. Okay, I think this library is messed up. I didn't Python write the double count automatically. Yeah, actually Python writes the double count quotes automatically. However, uh, sometimes it uses a single quote. I don't know why. For now, so each time the Python saves a file, it treats it. Okay, so I think let's try again something. Sorry if it's this confusing, but it's a new user. So 123 and 123 something. Okay. Okay, I think we are facing a small problem with the this library. So you can, for example, search Google and find a way. Why is it like this? So some people are saying, okay, so this is a way to do it. So we can force Python to replace single quotes to double quotes. So let's try this one using the string replace. We are going to add the string replace before we save the file here. So let's say data equals, uh, let's convert it first here. So let's data equals string str, okay, data, and we are going to convert this. So data, yeah, okay. Let's try again. This time, let's save the file again. Okay, still there is a small error here, and expected indentation. We made a small error here. Save. Again. Let's say add new password number. Okay. So now we have the new user. Let's check. Okay, now let's check. Do we have the data saved here or not? So go back at view. What is the view? Zooming in. Font line. Let's make it smaller a bit. So yes, it's already saved. Okay. So now if we, for example, close the program and start again, and let's start admin. Okay. And let's try add. Sorry. Let's try a new, and the password for new is this one. Okay. Okay. So new is there. So now we are able to save the data to our text file and read the data. Okay. Do you have any questions? I know it seems a bit complicated, but if you have any questions, just you can ask and I will explain to you. Okay. Okay. Someone, can you show the code to bring up dictionary? Okay. So the code to bring up a dictionary is this one. So this one, we created uh, a simple dictionary, I know a variable to we initialize the variable to keep the dictionary and the variable to keep the, the lines, well, or the string line. After that, we open the file in a read mode. We get the line by line, okay? And after that, save, sorry, we save sorry, we use the JSON library to get the dictionary. We load it as a JSON because now a dictionary is a JSON file in other languages, which is a JSON, okay? However, in Python, it's called the dictionary. So it is the same, they are using the same structure. However, the only difference is that in Python, we can have single code for dictionary. JSON, we cannot have. That's what we were trying to solve when we started using this, the place and so on. So this way, we can load our text file here as, a dictionary. And after we return the dictionary, we return it and update our user data here. Okay, so this is the way to load the data. Okay, so someone is asking, sir, why do we need a different file like the notepad for? Okay, just the notepad is just I'm trying to show the data I saved. So I'm accessing the data. It's a TXT file, so I can use any way to access the TXT file. I'm just trying to see what data I have in the TXT file. That's all. Any other question? Guys, any other question? If there is no question, this means you already understand why we convert dict to a string. Yeah, okay. Actually, the reason why we convert a dictionary to a string, because dictionary is an object, okay? So it's only used inside Python, and it's not what you can say is not a universal data type between all the the languages and programs and software. However, a string is a universal data type, so we convert a dictionary to a string so we can save it. Okay, that's the difference. That's why we convert it to a string to make it a universal data type, so we can send it to anywhere. Okay. Actually, this one happens even in other data communication. So now when you send a photo, it is converted after all to a stream of data, strings, and so on. So you can send it. You cannot just send it directly as it is. So you have to convert it to a universal data type, so we can manipulate. Other devices can read it and manipulate it. Okay. Someone asked, how can we add, for example, a number before name or another number? What do you mean? How can we add, for example, a number before name or another number? I don't understand you. Okay. You mean if you want to after the moment you save the file, you have to change the name every time you save the file, yeah? So for example, as a date or something like that. Okay, this is easy. So first, you have to check how to manipulate the string. Okay, so some of you I think already mentioned that before in the chat. I'll just bring it up now. So in Python, if I have a string like this, okay, so let's say Python. So I have this string x equals to hello, okay, and I have um, Ali here, and I have some text, blah blah blah, okay, and okay, and after that I can just, if I want to change, for example, this one, okay, sorry, not change, I want to add something in the middle. Let's say I don't have something here, okay. So imagine that this is a string. I want to add something in the middle that I can change according to my file and so on. So I can use this one. So I can use x, okay, dot, uh, sorry, yeah. I can x equals to, then I can say this is the way, hello, and like this, and I continue the string and save. Okay, and I can use the x dot format, and the first one, let's say one, I can, okay, so x, so this one will be change here. So if I change, for example, x to Ali, for example, here, x will be like this. Okay, so this is what we call string formatting. So I can add anything to it. So I can, for example, have for this file, I can, let's say, create a variable called file name. Okay, not here, file name, and this file name will have the file name will have, for example, let's have a date. So when it's called Python date, so there is a library called import. Okay, I think time. Okay, let's check. It's import time, and you can say time dot time. Okay, time dot time. So we can use the, so time dot time zone time. No, sorry. Let's say dot time zone. Okay. Let's time in Python. Sorry, it was this one. Give me seconds. I don't want seconds. See time. Okay. So this is a way to do it. For example, you can do it this way. So I can have a time. Oh, sorry. Let's try see time here. Okay. So for example, if I use this one like this, I can add time to my file. So it will be, for example, time. Then I can add dot uh, txt, for example. So now each time I save, it will be saved as a txt time. Okay. So this is one way to do it. So if I try to run admin add blah 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 blah. Okay. So invalid argument, yeah, because you have to also to make sure this, the time format and so on. However, this is the way. I had an issue in my contact numbers when I want to use Python to add instead of. Okay, someone is asking who he has, for example, numbers of data, and he wants to change, for example, 060 instead of. Okay, this one, if you already have the data in your file. Okay, so this problem, if you have your data inside as a txt file, so you can just use the way we used here. So you can ask if plus 016, so plus 016 like this in line, and change. So you can change all the contact. However, if you don't have it inside the text file, you have and you have it inside an Excel file, there is another way to do it. So it depends on which way you have it. Okay, can change the contact file to a text file. Well, this depends on your phone. I'm not sure, and how it saves the contact file and so on. You have to look on the internet for it. So I'm not sure. Depends on what the problem I'm trying to solve. I think, and this one is a bit unrelated to Python for us now. So guys, do you have any problems regarding this one? So this one no need for now. Let's save it as it is. New.txt. Okay. So do you have any problems? Okay. If you have no problems, I think can Bruce. If you have any problem related to Python here, you can address it. Otherwise, I will continue with the dealing with Excel files. Uh, okay. And our friend here, the problem regarding the changing the contact number and so on. I think this one you have to also check how your phone saves the data and so on. If as I told you, if it's just a normal text file, you can just use the way we dealt here with. So here, so you can check for the line, and if it's in the line, just replace it. So you can just, for example, do like this. So let's imagine this is I have a string and this is a line. So the line have your number like 976. 976, okay, and your number and this one, for example. So I can do this x dot replace 0976 with 060, I think. Okay, so now it's already replaced. That's all. You have to do this for each line if it's saved as a line by line. And you have to also find a way how to read the contact numbers in Python and so on. But this is a way to change a string or replace something in a string. Okay. Okay. Anyone still have any question? So shall we proceed with the dealing with Excel files using Python? Okay. Now imagine that you don't want to save the file as a text file, and actually it's a stupid way to save the file as a text file. Okay. So I'm just showed you how to do it here, but it's not the perfect way to do it. So if you have a lot of data and you want to save it, you have to, and it's you have tables and so on, so you have to save it as an Excel file, and or you have an Excel file you want to import to Python. So let's say Python convert a dictionary to Excel. So let's say export a simple dictionary into an Excel file. Okay. So I have this dictionary, for example. I want to export it to Excel file. How to do this? In Python, we have uh, a CSV writer. So we have a library that helps us to do this. So let's do it this way. So we open a file, we write, we have also write that I'm not sure what's the mode here, but it's a writing mode so far. So we create a writer. So the writer will write the file, and it will save it as a row and a column and so on. Okay, this is the simplest way to do it. So let's try this one. So create a new file. Let's call it CSV, okay, slash dict dot py. Okay, now let's create a dictionary and call this dictionary, let's say A, and A has la, and B has la, 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 and so on. Just random data. Okay, and we can we import the library that helps us deal with the Excel file. So this is the library. So we are going to use the with function open and save. We'll create a file that's called output, for example, and we are going to save the out what we call it. We are going to open the file and use a writer so we can write to the file, and we are going to get our dictionary here. So this one will be our dictionary. So let's say this one, call it new dict. So this one will help us to get the data and save it to our dictionary. Let's try this simple code, run it. Okay, since dict object has no attribute, iterate items. So and dot, let's say I think items. Yes, okay. A byte like object is required, not string. So I think there is a problem with this one. The code is not. So this one is incorrect. So this one, okay. Now this our code is correct. So this one is the correct way to do it. Let's check. Do we have a CSV file now? Yes, we have a CSV file. So our data is saved into our dictionary like this. So A, B, and so on. Okay, this is nice so far. Okay, this is the way to save a dictionary into what you call it. Into a CSV file. Now let's try and permission denied. Okay. Now because we want to access the same file, we have permission denied. So cancel, close this one first and try again. Okay. Now let's see how does it save our data, more complex data. So it saves our data like this. So we have a row. This is our row, and we have the columns here. Okay, so it should be like this. Okay. Now this one is not, in a correct way. Let's modify it a bit. So the way we are saving, we are using the key as what you call it, the first column, and the value as the first, what you call it, the value as the second column. Okay. There is, I think, a better way to do it. So let's create a head here. So uh, mm, let's find a better way to do it. There are many ways to do it. So I think let's try ourselves, figure out a way. So now, when you do it this way, this one will be the first column, this one is the second column. So this one is a row. Okay. So what we can do is that let's try create the first row. So we can say writer.row is create the first row using the keys. So write row and let's say new deck.keys. Okay. Sorry. Let's try this one. Close the file. Okay, so let's see the effect of our code now in the Excel file. So okay, so we can get the keys, for example, the users as we want so far. Okay, so and you can manipulate. So instead of using the key and value here, we can just for each row we can have, for example, a key instead of a value, and so on. So this is the way we are dealing with Excel files. This is using the the normal CSV way, and this one is a bit missing. So it will take time for me to modify it and so on. So just this is the way to show it. Do you have any questions? What is a CSV? Okay, a CSV is an Excel file. Do you know Excel? Excel file, just a CSV is an Excel file. Okay, so this is the the normal way to do it is, but using the CSV and so on. However, what is W plus? Oh, okay, so W means write. Okay, W plus means read and write. Okay, okay. Let's see the the better way to do it. So I think some of you here is dealing with a lot of data and data scientists or researchers and so on. Some of you is researchers here. So the best way to deal with data and a lot of data is, for example, for example, here is a dictionary. So is using a library called pandas. Okay, so if you are dealing with a big data and so on, use a library like pandas, like this one. So pandas. So let's try and use pandas library instead of using this messy way. So create a new file, okay, and call it something like this. Bam. Okay, pandas. Okay, and let's just copy this code. Okay, and try to run the code. Okay, now I just copied the code and as the same as the people inside Stack Overflow and so on. However, I'm facing a problem. It showed me that no module named pandas. This means that the module, which is this one, we call it a module or a library in Python, you are trying to use, it's not installed. So how to install it? So to install it, just pip install and the name of the module, for example, or you can search in the internet how the name of the module. So when you write pip install, it will start installing the library you want. Okay. Okay. Now after you install, let's try and run the code again. Okay, it says no module named open by X and so on. Actually, see, Pandas library is one of the libraries that used for big data or data science or to deal with data. And so if you have a Excel file or data set and so on, the best way to deal with it is using Pandas. There are other libraries, but one of the famous ones is Pandas. Yeah. So like NumPy and so on, OpenCV and so on. Yeah, it's used for statistics. It's used to to do some data manipulation and so on. So I think this one install. Let's install the other one. Okay. Okay. So now this is the data, for example, we saved. Let's go and check our data here. So yeah, we already have the data here. Okay, as the way here. So let's go and take our complex dictionary here and use it here. Let's say this one. So user data. So this one is equals to user data, and let's call it this one user data. Okay. Okay. So data. Okay, data. Just let's ignore this one. Let's try again. Okay. Now we have our data. Let's check out the file user data. What is it? User data. Yeah. So now we have a good, what you can say, Excel file of our data. Okay. Have the users here, and we have the phone and password here. So which one is easier, do you think? This one or this one? As you can see, it's obviously this one. If you learn more about pandas, you can use it. So I showed you this the pandas example because some of you were asking me in WhatsApp and so on how to deal with data and big data and so on. So this is one of the ways to use it. So you can use pandas. So it will do all the stuff that you want. It will do all the stuff for you. Okay. So this is how using pandas. So I think that's all for today. Do you have any questions? Okay, I will be sharing the code. And actually, for our last session, we will be discussing the word cloud challenge. Okay. For the word cloud challenge, we are going to deal with some, book, with the book or text book. So we'll convert it to, an image and so on. So that will be the challenge for our last session. Okay. So if you have any question for this session, you can ask.